I'm Caitlin Beard, and I'm a Democrat.
And I'm Caitlin Carroll, and I'm a Republican.
And welcome to Debatlin, the show that brings the political headlines straight to Berry College.
Today's topic is identity politics. Identity politics is voting for somebody not based on the issues, but based on their identity, and how their identity lines up with yours. For instance, voting for Hillary Clinton just because she's a woman, Barack Obama just because he's black, Mike Huckabee because he's a Christian, or John McCain because you're really old.
On the Democratic side, I'd like to talk about Hillary Clinton's recent racist remarks that the Obama camp misinterpreted. Hillary said, Dr. King's dream began to be realized when President Lyndon Johnson passed the Civil Rights Act in 1964. But it took a president to get it done. That dream became a reality. The power of that dream became real in people's lives because we had a president who said, we're going to do it, and actually got it done. Now, I think what Hillary Clinton was meaning to say was that it takes a president to actually get things done. You can't just have a visionary who has ideas about what they want to do. Of course, she's not trying to belittle Martin Luther King in any way, but that's what the Obama camp took it as an insult towards African Americans and to all that Martin Luther King actually accomplished. On the other hand, Bill Clinton has recently said that about Obama, he said, this whole thing is a fairy tale. I think this comment was taken out of context. If you actually watch the video in which he says this, Clinton is discussing Obama's voting record in regards to the war in comparison to Hillary's, and he says they're the same. What he is critiquing is that Obama is trying to make it out to look like he was against the war more than Hillary. Bill Clinton even points out that in 2004, Obama said his views on the war were the same as Bush's. So I think the fairy tale comment is in regards to Obama's trying to pretend that he didn't at one point support the war. I don't think his comments were meant as a racial slur, and people just interpreted them that way.
On the Republican side, the Constitution prohibits any sort of formal religious test in the selection of the president. But are we instituting our own form of religious testing? The Republican primary in 2008 has raised the question, and it's one we should pay close attention to as Berry College students. Religion is a part of our daily life. It's the heart that guides our head and our hands. But when we leave the pews and head for the polls, what happens when we take too much of the church with us? Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee made election headlines in late 2007 when the relatively unknown candidate surged ahead in the polls in Iowa, later winning the state. One of the key factors in his success was the fact that he's a former Baptist pastor. In and of itself, not a problem. The problem, however, is when candidates like Huckabee use their personal religion as their primary rallying point. It's called identity politics. Vote for me because we're both Christians. And it unfairly squelches genuine criticisms and debates. For instance, in a December interview with Meredith Vieira, Huckabee responded to Republican criticisms of his record by saying that the establishment was just upset that a real Christian was finally running. This means that if you disagree with Mike Huckabee on education, immigration, the economy, or foreign policy, you actually only dislike him because he's a Christian. It's good that Huckabee is so strong in his faith, but he has to be strong all over. He once said that he speaks the language of Zion as a mother tongue. But as president, you have to be multilingual. As you head to the polls this year, remember that a separation of church and state only strengthens both. To the Democrat side, I know that in South Carolina recently, when Obama won the primary, a lot of criticism came to Hillary because of Bill Clinton's remarks. So do you feel at this point that a lot of this controversy could have been avoided because of Bill Clinton and that the rhetoric is spinning out of control because the campaign isn't as in control?
I really think that Bill Clinton has a right to say whatever he wants to say. Naturally, there's freedom of speech. He can say whatever he wants to say about Obama. However, I really truly think that his comments were taken out of context. And I think probably the best thing for the Clinton campaign right now is to not let Bill Clinton speak anymore. I love Bill Clinton, and I'm a firm supporter, but I definitely think that he's only hurting Hillary's campaign right now. And I think that the best way to solve that is just not let him talk anymore.
Probably a good idea, definitely. I saw Hillary in an interview this week, and she was asked, can she control Bill Clinton? And she said, absolutely, of course. But I think people are starting to really question whether or not she can control him while he's on the trail.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to ask you what you think, staying kind of on the Democratic side. There's been a lot of talk that perhaps Obama, just because of his name, people think that he's Muslim, and there was a lot of that going around. What do you think about religion playing a part in who people vote for the president? Do you think, hypothetically, we could have a Muslim president? Do you think we could have a Mormon president? How do you think that influences the political tide?
I think absolutely we could have a Muslim or a Mormon president, referring to Mitt Romney. I think the overriding factor has to be how the candidate feels about his religion in terms of America. And I think that it's important that the president thinks of himself first as an American, which is why it shouldn't really matter whether he's an American Mormon or an American Baptist or an American Muslim. But a lot of times it seems that in this race, the candidates haven't been able to define their own religion. Even if after they make personal statements and address the public like Mitt Romney did last fall when he gave his Faith in America speech, the media still paints him as a Mormon and puts it in terms that really don't reflect his own personal description of his faith. And I think that's really sort of the problem. People need to see past that and past the identity politics and look back at the issues.
Yeah, definitely. And I also, I was reading that Hillary Clinton has recently talked more openly about her faith, and she's actually been receiving criticism from liberals and Republicans alike. Republicans are saying that she's not genuine in what she's saying, and Democrats are saying we don't want to mix religion and politics, and they're actually criticizing her for coming out about that. Have you seen any of that on the Republican side?
I know that I have seen, she talks a lot about her Methodist upbringing and the fact that she had a very conservative and religious father and family. And I think a lot of people think it's sort of disingenuous just because of the way she strayed from her faith. But again, it's people thinking that they ought to be judging people not based, the candidates not based on what they say about their religion, but what the media sort of says about their religion. Hillary is portrayed as many things, and one of them happens to be fairly cold. She doesn't come off as that warm, fuzzy pastor type like Huckabee. And I think it, again, stresses the importance that that shouldn't be your deciding factor.
Definitely. All right, well, that's all that we have time for today on Debatlin. But definitely be watching because there will be more to come each week. Definitely. And that's about it.